Go ahead and get started. Well, thank you, Shawn Meaike, for hopping on this call. This is a leadership call that we do every single week, well, throughout the year, and we're lucky to have you on. And what my intention was with this call is just to, get to know you a little more. Also, obviously, get some advice from a ground floor level. The nice thing about when you're dealing with someone like you is no one sees a better view than you. You've got the 10,000 foot view where everybody else has, different levels of it, but you definitely have seen what success looks like and wanted to share with that. Can you give everybody just a little quick background on yourself, Shawn?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm 47 years old, and I learned at a real young age. One of the things that made me messed up and made me very successful and I mean very successful relatively speaking, is my mom raised me and she worked her behind off. She worked her behind off every minute of every day. I worked really hard. I went to college because she told me to. I got a degree in social work, master's degree in psychology and criminal justice. I probably use those every day. My favorite job I've ever had, job, was being a social worker. I loved it. Being an insurance agent became a better job because it paid me more, and it was gratifying. It wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't as gratifying as being a social worker, but being a social worker wasn't remotely gratifying financially for my family, so I couldn't live that way. And, very proud of what we've built here. I think that, for me, in fairness, us launching the company was more about the juice than it was of I was just excited that I didn't know what the hell was going to happen, and where we were running from sucked. So we didn't have anything to lose kind of deal, and I'm a big, history repeats itself. And I just kind of thought, people don't want to be treated that way. And then, was very blessed to, have an army of men and women around the company like you and 25 other names that I could mention. I'd still be leaving some people out. So, I mean, that's pretty much a snapshot. I got, I got two amazing children who I love with my heart and soul, Savannah and Big T. And, one's heading out your way to go to college next year in California, or for a lot of you that are out there. And my son is in prep school in Connecticut, kicking some butt. So they're happy kids. And that's I might suck at a lot, but I want to be a good dad and I want to work hard and do the best I can to lead people. So that's about all I got.
Awesome. When you think of all the agents at FFL, what do you wish, or what intention do you have for each and every one that joins the company?
Man, I think the thing for me growing up the way I grew up and hearing the things I heard from people that I lived in a very, very impoverished neighborhood until I was about 9. Ironically, my mom moved us at 9, and she wanted us to be in a safer place. And a month later, I got hit by a truck and almost died in this new neighborhood, right? I got hit by a truck, broke both my legs, broke my arms, dislocated my hip. My heart stopped. And I always joke with her, I'm like, thank God you got me out of this place, because if I got shot, it wouldn't have hurt as much as getting hit by a truck. So I got to spend the majority of my life growing up in a very nice town where we had nothing, and the people that lived around us had nothing either. They would actually, not to my face, but now that I've grown up, all these years later, we used to call you an apartment kid because you're one of those very small community that didn't have a house. I'm like, why didn't you say it to my face? I would have beaten the living out of it. That's why you didn't say it to my face. But I really think I heard a lot of people tell me and my friends, my mom, very nicely and condescendingly, that we wouldn't have much. We should just be happy. And I always really took offense to that. But instead of yelling and screaming and crying, and I just always held on and said, you know what? I'm just going to wait my turn. And we hire a lot of people that come from very blue collar backgrounds. They've worked their behinds off to get where they are. And I think we're changing generations for them. They're doing it, but we put a model together that works. I want every agent, Matt, to be as successful as they want to be. And by the way, that's different for everybody. I want everybody to be as successful as they want to be. I could name 27 people I know that they want nicer clothes. There's nothing wrong with that. I got another dozen that want nicer cars. There's nothing wrong with that either. I want to go to sporting events. I want my kids to not want for money. And I want to see a bunch of people make a bunch of money. That makes me feel really, really, really good. So I want everybody truly, Matt, without any BS, to have the success they want to have. And I don't pretend to know what they want. From a success standpoint, everybody's is different. And, for me, everybody can do that here. What's great about it is it doesn't discriminate at all. I love that too. You could be somebody that allegedly is not as skilled, and if you just grind, you'll make as much as you want to make. And watch people that never had any money make a bunch of money, because money's not the root of all evil. What people do with it is. And I just want everybody to have the result they want to have.
That's for sure. As far as agents that are on the ground floor that are looking to, build the business, become a business owner, what do you believe their first move should be in regards to hiring?
It's a great question. I think the first thing, Matt, is you have to see, before you get into any of that, you have to carry yourself like a businessman or businesswoman. I know it seems really cliche, but I'm not going to be attracted to be in business with you if this is just for fun or for ha-has, or if you're very emotional, if you're up or you're down, if you're whiny, if you're dramatic, if you're needy, if you're egotistical. You have to learn how to be a good businessman or businesswoman. You have to see yourself that way. When I wake up in the morning, I realize I'm a businessman. Did I go to Harvard? I went to Eastern Connecticut State University. None of you have heard of it. If you say you have, you're lying, because nobody's heard of it. I got my master's degree at Central Connecticut State University. You've not heard of that either. So for me, but I believe I'm a businessman. I carry myself that way. It's business first. I say this to people all the time. I did a really good job of providing appropriate distance with people I work with. They're not better than me, and I'm not better than them, but it was work first. We came to work to go to work. And that was one of the things that if you don't carry yourself that way, you won't build a business, because you won't be attracted to people. People will not be attracted to be in business with you. This is very much a energy kind of business, because the reality is you're not giving them a draw. You're not giving them a salary. We're offering something that they can get from anybody at Fan First Life, to be honest with you. And also they can go somewhere else. They might not get as paid as much. I get all that. But there are people that work at other companies, thousands of them, that stay there because they believe the person they're in business with, which they might be, they're good business people. So you have to see yourself that way, number one. And to see yourself that way, you have to engage with people that see themselves that way as well. It's hard to do that. I always kind of love when somebody's like, hey, you want to come by? And I go see them, and I get to meet their 5 friends, and I leave and I go, I can't work with them. I'm not mad at them, but these dudes, they're not this, I don't want to hang out with them. It doesn't make them, it's not, we're all people. But so I think for you to build a business, you have to start there. As it pertains to hiring, because warm market is really, honestly, no matter what everybody says, you can write as many books on ZipRecruiter and this thing and social media, and it's all great. But trust and believe your core business, when you pick your head up eventually one day, as your business is a testament to it, so is Kilman's, so is Mark's, so is Andrew's. So is Frank's. You just can't, it's not by accident. Our staff, almost every staff I have in some capacity was warm market. So if you don't carry yourself that way, you're missing out on the core business building aspect, because you won't attract people. I was talking to a new guy that you guys have that's working with you, and I'm like, you have more credibility than most people at the company, because people know who you are. You're famous. In that way, you're recognizable. People know who you are. So my son's always like, Dad, your Instagram account, Pastor Matthew's got 50,000 people. I'm like, he's Pastor Matthew. What do you want me to have, dude? Travels all over the world and speaks to people. You know what I mean? I'm doing the best I can. He's yelling at me because I follow more than follow me. He's like, that looks stupid. And I'm like, dude, you go to school and you're broke. You ain't got no money. You got my money. You have nothing. You're worth $0. So be careful, So you got to see yourself that way. And that's how you build a warm market. And then what you have to do is just work really, really hard, and not take any of it personally. Because the reason most people don't hire is because it's frustrating. We don't stop doing that in sales because we need the money and we know we're going to get paid. So we have 4 or 5 or 12 appointments that say no, but we keep grinding because we know we're going to get a paycheck. But we hire 5 people. And I was saying this to somebody recently. I always know when people don't understand the business when they say they a lot. It's we. It's not they. In real estate, it was we. The buyers weren't they. We're all people. We're on the same team. So, Matt, carry yourself that way. And carrying yourself that way means that's where you always are. You're not a businessman or businesswoman if you fall off the face of the earth every 2 or 3 days, if you fall off the face of the earth every month or so, because you don't feel it. If you get up way too late, if you don't answer phone calls, you're not a business person. So before you decide to build a big business, be a business person. And then build your warm market, and learn how to build the cold market and watch what other people are doing. But again, if you're the kind of guy or girl that nobody wants to, and again, I'm not preaching to anybody. And Pastor Matthew's like, man, he's like, pray for you every day. I'm like, good. I need you to get 4 more people to pray for me every day too, because I need all the mother freaking help I can get. I love you. But it's funny because what he said to me, and I believe it. I'm not preaching to anybody. It's call it the universe, call it God, call it whatever makes you happy, call it that. When you're the kind of person that can lead people, doesn't mean you're perfect. Matter of fact, everybody in that book's pretty jacked up, you know, but God was like, but you're a warrior, you're working hard, you're a human being. When you become that kind of person to lead people, people will just follow. Call it energy. I don't care what it is. You're going to have people drop in your life. You're not even going to know how you met them. You're like, how did that even make sense? How did that even happen? So I think, Matt, before we get ahead of ourselves, we have to start there. And as being a salesperson, the validation of the model, your ground floor person is your validation to give. You want to show me it can be done? I don't need you to be Matt Smith. I never asked you to be Matt Smith. I never asked you to be Jonathan Porcina. Nobody's ever asked that. So well, I can't sell that much. Nobody asked you to. But go out there, be a grinder, put your 40 plus hours a week in, issue your 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, however good you are, 60. But hit your 20K minimally and validate the model.
Love it. What lesson do you find that is hard to teach others? These questions can start to be personal or professional, either way.
Dude, you know, I think the hardest lesson for me to have internalized and the hardest lesson to teach is that business isn't personal. It's hard though. It's just not. If a client does something you don't like, it's not personal. If an agent does something, if we do something you don't like, none of it's personal. And it's really hard to teach because most of us are raised to we take everything so personally. I've also made a commitment to not be offended. And everybody says, well, I'm not offended. No, I mean like literally people are going to do what they want to do. You're just going to do the best you can to be a conduit to help them in a situation. And I think it's been very hard for me because, man, I came in like a bull in a china closet. You know, do this. We need to do it this way. I love you're independent, but I'm going to do it this way. And if you don't work 147 hours a week, you're an idiot. Well, that doesn't work. And I'm actually the idiot that had to work 147 hours a week because I'm such an idiot. I could have started drinking again. I'm just a train wreck. I was like, I'm going to keep myself busy and I'm going to keep myself sober. Seriously, I was like 19 years now, but I mean, for years, I was like, I'm going to keep myself busy. You know, so we're all very different people. That's been the hardest lesson for me to learn. It's still the hardest lesson to teach.
Gotcha. What is something you once valued that you no longer pay attention to?
Oh, man, so many things. But I think the thing that really stands out is I really valued, and I did, no matter what I say, I really, really valued people's opinions outside of the group I should know. I really did. I don't think I was controlled by them, but I valued them. As you get bigger, people are going to take shots at you. I don't value those at all. You know, I don't value whether I've known them for 20 years, their family. I just don't, I've tuned the world out unless it's somebody that really matters to me. I've known you for a while. You're insanely successful with us. You're a big part of our company. I value your opinion. Doesn't mean we don't have to agree, but I value your opinion. But an agent you hired yesterday who I don't know hates me. I'm like, well, you need to get in line. Like my son's like, I Googled your name. I'm like, yeah, you saw a lot of stuff too. A lot of people don't. He's like, they have these insurance forms. I'm like, don't read those. They'll mess you up. And all we do is run a company. I don't bother anybody. You know what I mean? So I really did, man. I valued the opinions of people. And it wasn't, but I would listen. Like I would wonder what they wrote, what they were saying. And I've gotten to a point where I really genuinely don't give a beep. I don't. And I really don't. Like it's taken a while, but I truly don't care because it's not going to guide me. And I think part of that is knowing that you're just a human being. Can't judge a damn thing that I do and vice versa.
What do you think the worst advice you've ever received is?
Oh God, I received a lot of advice before I started working here that was terrible. I think some of the worst advice in this business that I've ever received was this whole structural thing that I was somehow supposed to let people know that they were my downline, if you will, and let them know how awesome I was. Worst professional advice I ever received, and thank God I didn't take it, was separating people. You know, you need to take these people, and they're very VIP kind of people, and everybody needs to know how great they are. And these people aren't worthy of anything. That was probably the worst, watching that intimately with other companies and the way they drove people away. And I took that advice early on. I might not have taken it to their level, but I still did that kind of stuff. Like, hey, Matt and Tom and Mark, you're all VIPs. Come over here. And the rest of you, you're not. And basically, what I was saying is the rest of you are worth nothing. And then I want to know why you weren't motivated or talk down to you, you know, and you just don't care about your family. Dude, the guy cares about his family. He's just not working hard. He doesn't not care about his family. But I would attack you. Obviously don't care about your family. You could care less what happens to them. That wasn't remotely true. I didn't understand. I'm educated, sociology, psychology, and I was such a psycho idiot that instead of everything I was educated on, social work, 12 years with family, I was more sympathetic and empathetic of a guy using crack cocaine trying to take care of his kid than I was a guy struggling in life insurance in the field, who I immediately decided you don't care about your family. It was horrible advice I took, and it was horrible that I didn't see the forest through the trees.
Gotcha. How about the best advice you received?
Can't have a big ego in a big business. Still today, the best advice I ever got. And anytime I start to even remotely for a millisecond go, I'm pretty good at this, I go like, don't ever do that. Anybody could do this, Shawn. Nothing you do is special. And if nothing else, I'm afraid that it's going to hurt the business. So you cannot have a big ego and you can't have a big business. You have to pick one. Can't have them both. Best advice I've ever received.
How about something that you were 100% certain about that you've now changed your mind about? Give me an example.
Oh, man. I used to be 100% certain that I could pick people after a couple weeks who would be successful with us or not. I was 100% certain that I, Shawn Meaike, could go after 2 weeks. Yep, nope. And I'm 100% certain I was wrong because I do not know. And everybody reacts to things differently. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know their time frame. You don't know when they will or won't kick in. And I have people been with us for 4 years and that weren't doing about nothing and now are absolutely crushing it on both levels. So I was 100% certain about it, and I was 100% wrong.
Gotcha. If you could create one law in the world, what would it be?
Oh God, now you're gonna get me in trouble. I mean, I gotta be careful.
I didn't say to be careful.
I know, but I have to. I'm trying to be so good. You know, my background as a social worker was purely contingent upon protecting children. I'm not such a fierce advocate for adults. I think they're adults. They need to figure their crap out. And I mean that like out in the world. I'm not, children, different ball game. My dream job, I think, Matt, would be, and I'm trying to be careful. My dream job would be like, let me give you an example. This guy the other day, he killed 2 inmates. I don't know if you saw that or not. He's in for a life sentence. He got an argument with the guy, killed the guy. His life sentence. We have life sentence. You have nothing to lose. You can't get out. He has no chance of parole. And they've sent in 3 sex offenders that offended children. He's killed all 3. So I'm kind of like, that's kind of like, okay, right? Like you shouldn't do that to children. So I'd want harsher laws for people that harm children physically, sexually. If you look at child murders in Connecticut, the average sentence, if you kill a child under the age of 2, is like 4 years. They don't view it as a real life somehow in the court system. I'd want to have a law that would say, I mean, I could pick a million, but it would be specific to children. It would be very punitive for those that had committed those crimes. And I would volunteer to be the one. There was a guy, I was reading a story that it was a non-fictional story. He was in the jury of this guy that killed his wife and his unborn child. And he said, man, they said, what was the hardest part about being in the jury? He's a very bright guy. It's a very well-written book and talked about the 12 months. It was a crazy trial, then how long deliberations were. And in that state, they gave, and the governor, 6 months after they did that, had come in and said, hey, we're not killing nobody. And he said, after everything I've been through, I've written letters saying he deserves a death penalty. And if you all are concerned about doing it, I volunteer to go ahead and put the needle in his arm. And I was kind of reading that going, man, it's pretty powerful. But I thought he was around. And what he said was, they said, man, that's pretty harsh, because that's pretty harsh to say. And he said, you know what? Not that I ever want anything to happen to his wife. And I don't. He said she was in a relationship with him, an adult choice, like it was what it was. But this kid who was like, dude, the baby was due like any minute. Like, it wasn't like, hey, I'm pregnant. It was like, baby could be born tomorrow, which I think is why the murder happened that time. So I'd have, Matt, seriously harsher laws for people that harm children. I think we get two guys get into an argument and they fight it out and one guy dies. You get more time than, you take a baby who's 6 months old, shake it to the point where it can't breathe, it convulses, its brain hemorrhages, you snap its neck, and you go, whoops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I was just frustrated, and you serve 1.5 years. So harsher penalties for those that hurt children. Now, if I could change one, and if I go crazy on the law, I'd be like, I want to cure cancer. Or can I have a law of curing cancer, something like that? If you say like a law, legal, statutes, it would be that. Makes
Awesome.
sense?
What's something people don't know about? It does, yeah. What's something that people don't know about you that would surprise them?
I cry quite a bit. If I watch movies, I cry a lot. I read books now, I cry a lot. My daughter does something at her pageant, I freaking cry. I'm almost even to the point now, I ain't there yet, but my son, like, he'll do something like, God, what am I doing? Like, I'm 47 years old now. Like, what am I doing? I was on a plane the other day. Dude, I watched Friday Night Lights like 97 times, that movie. And the guy come up and give the kid a hug at the end and gave him a state championship ring. And I'm bawling like a freaking baby. And the lady next to me,
on the 97th time.
dude, for the 90s, like, I know what's going to happen. I know it's a movie. I know it's based on a true story, and I'm 100% sure that's going to happen. And I'm bawling like a baby. And I'm like, what am I doing? Then I watched Fighting with Your Family. You've seen that? The WWE one with the girl. It's a true story from the people from England. And I've watched that like a dozen times. It's a great movie, Fight with Your Family. It's based on non-fictional on her plight. They're from Norwich, England. It's really very, poor family. It's phenomenal. And like at the end when she does, I'll cry. So I don't know what's happening to me, dude. I just, I see things that inspire me, motivate me, and things that are right about the world, and it brings me to tears. I got agents that do stuff that brings me to tears. So that's something most people don't know. Maybe you caught me doing it every once in a while, but I do it a hell of a lot. Yeah.
What do you want your children to think of when they hear your name?
I want them to know that I fought for people that couldn't fight for themselves. I want them to think that my dad was a very hard worker. My dad is a very hard worker. And I want them to say that my dad stands up for what's right. And he doesn't pick on anybody. He don't bully anybody. And that he wouldn't let anybody bully anybody regardless of who it is or where it's at. That, excuse my language, but he don't take no shit when people are doing the wrong thing. And that's what I want them to think about me. I got a big heart, and I love them, and I love people, and I want to do right by people, and I never take advantage of them, but I'll stand up for them regardless if they're my friends, my family, people I don't know. My daughter launched this anti-bullying campaign in her high school, and I was like, man, it's really cool. And she's like, Dad, I just got that from watching what you do. And I was like, I cried again. I was like, so, but that's what I want him to say about me. He's not perfect, never said he was, but he stands up for what's right, and he's courageous in his defense of other people.
Awesome. I'm going to transition to a little business for our final couple of questions. In regards to the business development meetings, we're close to 100 already across the country. If you're an agent with Family First, what's the best way to utilize those meetings?
I think you have to unabashedly invite everybody. I think you have to, we talked about the warm market deal earlier. I think it's brand new. We've been here for 5 years. We did this without meetings, Matt. We put together a machine that issued $200 million without any real structure of meetings. We've kind of done quarterly sales conferences when we feel like it. I mean, let's be honest, we're not like being what we do and we don't. BDMs, we do, we don't, we sometimes. And I think that not only do you utilize it for inviting people, Mike and I were talking about this recently, that, dude, that's how we built it. The camaraderie of dialing, being there to meet with the people you're talking to, as Mike Sizer said, and I love what he said to Trey said. Trey said, hey, I would quit on Monday all the time. Then I have a meeting in Andrews off on Tuesday, and I was excited again. But about every other Monday for a while, I quit. In my mind, I'm done. Go to the meet, see the people, talk to them, and get even more excited. So I think, Matt, it's something you got to promote 7 days a week. I think you need to be there. You need to be there for the continuity and the structure and the camaraderie. And I think invite people you care about, because this is a phenomenal business. Can you still hear me, Matt? I can't see you. I see your logo now.
Absolutely. I can hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I believe. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Final question for you, Shawn, is what do you think 2020 looks like for Family First Life?
You know, Mike Sizer asked me yesterday, what's our goal, production goal for 2020? You know, finishing a little north of 200 million, whether that's 212, 220. He said, is it 300 million? And I said, no, it's 400 million. Now, I'm a little bit crazy on my goals, but I look at what we're doing from a hiring standpoint, we're doing from a contract standpoint, we're doing from a lead standpoint. Matt, we're contracting 1,000 people every weekend. Okay, so we contract during the week always. That's like not unusual. And Corinne is now coming in and staff, and we had their own office. We hired more contracting people, to 1,000 new contracts that on Saturday and Sunday people are sending in. So there were companies, Matt, back in the day, were doing 35,000 applications a week, and they were doing 1,000 meetings a week. Now they don't do that anymore, and they changed their deal and did what they did. And it wasn't that big a deal. We're at 3,000 apps a week, 100 business development meetings. Could we go to 1,000 meetings and do 30,000 apps a week? Yeah, we could. Can we issue $1 billion? Absolutely. Will we? Yes. I think 2020 is one of the years we talked about early on that was going to be a really big year for us. And I think convention's that place has no chance to hold us. So if you want some advice, get there early for serious, like for real, not for serious, but like I'm so serious and it's for real. Like we're going to blow out of it. We're going to blow out of the room. We're doing the best we can, but we're going to have 2 overflow rooms. Matter of fact, we're going to put them in the mezzanine for the overflow with a big screen TV. We're just not going to fit everybody in there. And that's okay, because when you start doing meetings with 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people, dude, there's not a lot of hotels that can hold that. We're doing a convention center next year. We have to. We're looking at a bunch of convention centers. We can't do it in a hotel/meeting room. We're too big, which is awesome, because when we started our first annual convention, we had 180 people if you round it up. So you could see everybody in the room because it was 180 of us. Like it was no problem. And it seemed like 500 and we were excited. 2020 is a massive year. And I think we have people like Eric Schmidt every day that come in and 9 months later are paying 500 grand a month, selling 40 grand a month personally, and continuing to validate for us that it doesn't matter how long you've been here. I'm not a seniority kind of guy either. Like you're better and you're a freshman and he's a senior, you play. Like what do you want me to tell you, man? I just want to win. I want everybody around us to win. So Matt, I see it as a breakthrough year. I don't think we've had a breakthrough year yet. And I mean that. I think we've grown. That's cool. I think we continue to grow, in a moderate pace. I mean, people go, that's really good. I'm like, well, your company doesn't grow. So relative to you, we're growing a lot, but like, dude, you've been doing what you do for 12 years and you don't grow. I don't know that makes us awesome. We're just better than you are growth wise, because you don't do anything. We've been growing at a fair rate. I see this as something we, at the end of the year, we go like, I can't believe that happened. And a lot of us will go, we can believe it. So we enact these 100 BDMs weekly in April, 100 sales conferences monthly in April. What we're doing with leads, lights out. And we have Facebook lead vendors trying to sell 10,000 leads at a clip to people, and good for them. I mean, there's billions of people on there. Leads are not a problem. We couldn't grow like this without social media, and now we have unlimited leads. Areas are phenomenal. Carriers are phenomenal. Our recent relationships have allowed us to grow exponentially in a lot of different places. We're pouring a lot of money into the company. So a lot of what you're seeing is because we're pouring in to Google AdWords and all our presence online. We're dumping more money in than we ever thought about doing before. So I see it as a breakthrough year, man. Everybody that's listening today and everybody at the company can have whatever they want to have.